So, Raymond,
Oh, I didn't see you there. Hello.
here we are, back at Cool Stuff.
Hi, chat. How is everyone?
We've seen you've been playing Tearlaments again,
Yes.
and we've got a few requests for an updated list.
I know, I saw. I felt so bad that we couldn't do it last week, but here we are.
We actually see that last week you were able to secure a top two, pretty much reach the finals in a 3v3.
Yes, and I had pretty good and bad matchups, but I came out on top.
And
My team came out on top.
And we just actually, as of yesterday, got the new ban list, seeing that the deck has not been touched.
Well, nothing was touched except a Rice Heart and Dragon Link. But yeah, I'm glad about that.
And I know that people have been asking for like a few updates underneath the videos that you've been playing.
There is an update from the last build. There's a bunch of changes.
Awesome. I know that moving into this format, this is definitely a contender that people are going to want to go ahead and see. So we wanted to see what your take is on this deck upcoming.
I know.
Let's go ahead and see what you played.
I'm gatekeeping. If you didn't play Tear at its worst, you don't deserve her now.
Right.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's obviously start with the girls. One of each. I played 2 Rhino Hearts. I think 3 is too much. And 3 Tier Cash. It forces the mill during your opponent's turn, and it mills 3. A lot of people are playing maybe 1, but I like 2 Fenrir without the other field spell. It's such a good card going either first or second. With going second, you can summon it, and it's interruption during their turn. Obviously 3 of these. This is the best substitute because it searches polymerization. I see a lot of build with either Ishizu cards with Herald now that it's at 3, and they opt for Goddess with the 3rd eye because it's a fairy, but I like this because I don't play Diviner. We have 2 Shadal monsters only since Winda can be easily outed. Nowadays, I don't rely on making Winda that much. 1 of each of these is Shizu cards. Self-explanatory, you know, if we could have more, we would play more. And here are my 2 techs. 2 techs for this format. Night Sword Serpent, it summons itself when it's sent to the graveyard. And notice they are both water level 4. When you see my extra deck, I think you can already guess why we have 2 water level 4s. Sea Mare is just like Rhino Heart in the sense that it sends one of the girls to the graveyard, and it doesn't restrict you from, it has no restrictions. It just sends an aqua from the deck to the graveyard.
And it's also an aqua.
Yes, it's an aqua, so you can use it to fuse with the Kaleido Heart.
Again, seeing these 2 techs that you've implemented into the deck, how have they been for you?
Good. Night Sword Serpent is best at chain blocking because if you mill it, and you can make it as the last chain link, so you know they can't bell or it doesn't do anything against bestials, but it's still good for chain blocking. And yeah.
Insane. Let's go ahead and get into the spells.
Our spell lineup are Foolish Burial Goods. I still main 3 Super Polys. It's just so good either going first or second. Going first, if you draw it, set it. It is an interruption during your opponent's turn. And if they're playing a deck that you can easily fuse with one of your girls, you can leave Shiren face up on the field. So when you Super Poly your Shiren and their opponent, you get another fusion summon. And going second is just a board breaker. Now for the names, I like 1 Grief, 1 Heartbeat, and 3 Scream. I go back and forth with Heartbeat, but since a bunch of new decks are gonna come out, I want a main one just for spell removal, and sometimes you really need to discard a card, like Trivikarma, or if you have a girl in hand to force the fusion summon. And I like Scream because it searches a trap, and it mills 3. And the 500, a lot of people forget about the minus 500, so that's also really good. We have Terraforming at 1, Poly to be searched by King of the Swamp, 3 of these, obviously, and that's my spell lineup.
Insane. Let's go ahead and see what you played for traps.
And for the traps, I play the generic 1 Meta Noise, 2 Suliak, and 1 Trivikarma. I also like Crime, but Crime is in the side right now. Crime, I go back and forth, just like with Heartbeat. So the more I play in this new format, the more I will know. But right now, this lineup works, and that is 40.
I know that it seems you only play Super Poly. How do you feel this deck is going second? Is it just pilot through a lot of the boards, especially now that the Rise Heart isn't going to be a thing?
Yes, it's easier to break boards, especially with if you open King of the Swamp and open Polymerization. You can chain block a lot if you manage to summon Guardian Chimera. And it's just easier to break boards now if you draw Super Poly and if you have your field spell. And a lot of times, if you are going second and you feel like if you don't stop their first turn combo, you can even sacrifice a card in your hand, banish it with Tear Cache so you can force the mill 3 and maybe get a window or an interruption during turn 0.
Insane. Let's go ahead and get into your extra deck and see what you're playing.
We have one of each, Rokalos and Kaleido Heart, Dracostapelia. I like this a lot because it can negate hand traps. So if you're going first, make this firsts. And it can also negate cards that activate on the field. So if they have a Fenrir and you fuse into this, so their Fenrir is basically dead because you can absorb it. Guardian Chimera, really good. A water level 4. Winda at 1. Super Poly target. Grapha, everyone loves Grapha. So those are my fusions, and it's easy to recycle them because they use each other as fusion material. Dark and Goddess are my links. Dark is really good for getting rid of your, if you don't want to lock yourself into Winda because you want to go for the kill, you can link off Winda. And if you also have Garura, you get a draw. And this is good at outing cards that are not affected by anything, like Psychic and Punisher, the Link 5 Dragon Link, I don't know, Mech Knight Avramax, so it's just really good. At outing, because sometimes if that's all they have is unaffected monsters, usually they don't have any other interruption. Just flood your board with materials and then use their unaffected monster for Goddess.
A lot of people really haven't seen that card coming either. I know in your 3v3 case tournament, you were actually able to get over
Yes.
pretty menacing dragon.
They were like,
board.
I don't think he has an out for this card, but then I was like, yes, I do. It's this one.
Insane.
And for my Xyz monster, we have Time Thief Redoer, and my new tech, Bahamut Shark with Toad.
How's this been for you?
Whenever I get the chance to play Bahamut Shark, I do it. And it's easier with Night Sword Serpent, Supreme Sea Mare, and the Rhino Hearts, and also with this card. So since it's so easy to make this card with tier plus any dark, like any of the fusion monsters, so you can recycle them. Then this plus any of the level 4 waters is a negate.
And that card being able to pick up too is probably pretty powerful for you.
Oh yeah, and then you can recycle your Rhino Heart or your Tear Cache. Or if you think Bahamut Shark will survive, then you can just recycle itself to summon it again next turn.
Insane.
And the newest addition to my extra deck is an old favorite, Abyss Dweller. This is for Unchained.
Yay.
So if you're dueling Unchained and you mill their 5 cards and you see they're playing Unchained, instead of going Bahamut Shark or Redoer, just go Dweller. Yeah. It's not... Usually, when you're going first, you don't want to make Dweller because you know they're playing Unchained. But if you mill their deck and you know they're playing Unchained, so you don't feel as bad that you're making Dweller because you know what their deck is.
Card wins.
And that's 15.
And I know that the format's recently going to be changing with the ban list, but you did have a side deck prepared for the 3v3 that you did play.
Yes.
Go ahead and see what you played and then get your take on what you think would be the best side for the upcoming format.
So this was my 3v3 side deck. Droll to stop Searchers. My going seconds are Kurikar Divincarnate. Love this card. Once they use their monsters to negate, she can get up to 4,500 or even 6,000. I wasn't as in love with Gameciel at the 3v3. I will definitely swap these for Radiant because Radiant is a dark, and I want to make Mud Dragon a little bit easier, and you cannot make Mud Dragon with this, you can make it with Radiant. And 3 nibs, and 3 evenly match. So this was my side deck for the 3v3.
Do you have any projected changes for the upcoming format?
I do. I think what I'm gonna do is 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 radians, 2 nibs, 2 of these, and then the extra 5 will be either, depending on the meta, they're gonna be Book of Moon or Book of Eclipses for the purely matchup, because that's a little bit of a difficult matchup, especially with the card advantage they have. I was also thinking about Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill, playing around that idea, but definitely the books. So maybe 2 Eclipse and 2 Book of Moons, and maybe the last spot can be a 3rd roll or a 3rd evenly match or one of these. But definitely keeping these, and then I have some room for some flexibility for some Book of Eclipses or Moons.
Crazy.
Or the Barrier, really.
I know that there's a lot of things that you could potentially
There's so
play.
many things, yes.
I was going to ask you, what do you think separates this variant of the deck from the other variants that you see play in terms of builds that are making the Destiny Hero package into Beatrice,
yeah.
along with like the Revolution Synchro builds? Do you believe yours is going to be the most consistent?
Consistency-wise, I think we are all consistent. I think this deck revolves more around being reactionary other than combo related or combo heavy, because the synchro builds, you want to have the pieces in your hand, you want to have everything in place so you can put a good board. With this, it's a little bit more, I'm gonna do just a little bit during my turn, but do a lot during your turn. So
Insane. Raymond,
Yeah.
I know that there are a few YCSs coming up. If you're not going to be judging, we're expecting to see great results from this. I know we've got a few features coming up on the channel. Is there any final remarks that you've got regarding the deck?
no, just that's it. And whenever you're watching, just bless my mills.
Insane.
Bless
Again,
my mills, chat.
this is Raymond with the YGO Process. We appreciate it. Take care.
See you soon. Bye-bye.